well and be brilliant. Today, more than ever, humanity needs you.
I don't know what to say. I actually am lost for words.
You don't have a right to not be vulnerable and authentic. Your number one currency in life is to have an impact on someone else.
Like, you have blown me away to the other side of the world, and I don't know how I'm going to get back.
Because if you lead with your humanity, you elevate theirs.
I am so grateful that the universe connected me with you, because this has been a game changer for me.
If you lead a doubt-filled life, you'll lead a bound-up life. Live a doubtless life and you'll lead a boundless life.
This has just been the most extraordinary experience of my entire life.
Leadership is in the form of your brand, and in today's brand, it's your vulnerability, your ability to be authentic, your ability to be seen.
Because you're just a game changer. I've just never met anyone like you.
Your ability, as I say, to live your eulogy, not wait for someone to mourn you after you've gone.
And boom,
Boom.
we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to Inspiring Insights. Stephen and Sede, you like the boom, don't you? I know you like that.
I love I'm a big boomer. I'm a big boomer. So
I'm a boomer too. I get it. Welcome, everybody. My name is Peter Clark, Red TV. We are the live experience with Stephen DeSade. And Stephen DeSade from Sydney, Australia. How are you today?
I'm good. Sorry about me looking as if I'm a little distracted, but I'm not. I forgot to press record.
I forgot to hit go. That's why we're a couple seconds late.
Exactly. So I'm fine. I hope everyone's well in the wonderful world we live in, even if it's a bit strange. Strange is good, though. Strange is good.
Strange is good. And man, I'm so excited about today's topic. I got to tell you, I know we've played with this word before, reciprocity. Yeah. We've talked about reciprocity before. And of course, look up all kinds of different definitions and all kinds of different things about reciprocity. But I'm so glad you're covering this today because it's meaningful. I think it's so important just in life in general, in business in general. But it's going to be fascinating just to hear, what you put together for us, and then maybe some of the questions that are coming. Again, we don't know what the questions are, by the way, everybody. What we do is we reach out to people, and I don't know what the questions are, and I'm not even sure what we're going to be talking about, but I know we're talking about reciprocity. So, Stephen, this is fantastic.
Just before you go to those, Peter, the reason we don't know the questions is there's the spontaneity thing of what I do and all that kind of stuff and people's reaction to what people have said. So my first message to everyone watching, what is the experience people have of the experience of you, and embrace it? Because that's why we call it Inspiring Insights, because that's what people say of me. Thank you. They also say the ability to spontaneously combust on whiteboards and notes. So what is it that people say about the experience of experiencing you? Whatever it is, embrace it. And in terms of reciprocity, there's a billion different things you can say about it, but I've just taken a very simple, concise, and what I think empowering element to all of the soul shifters watching, and the DeSade Angels, and obviously the guests in the green room as well.
Fantastic. All right. While I'm just so excited here. This is fantastic. Let me cut right to these beautiful slides you sent, and let's just jump right into it. Reciprocity.
Yeah, and I'll move through these quickly because this sort of opening monologue of mine is not to steal the thunder of the guests, but I always do one thing. I come up with a theme during the week, which is something that just comes to me. And I know this is big for Peter, so it's the first time that he's encouraged me to go in a direction, and I was happy to take his encouragement. We always look at reciprocity, respect, the title of the actual monologue, and I break it into definitions. Reciprocity to me is corresponding and matching respect given or felt towards another. And respect is the esteem and the appreciation of the quality, ability, and excellence that you have in yourself and therefore in others. So reciprocity, respect, by definition in DeSade land, is to match the guidance and giving towards the esteemed quality of ourselves and of others. And there's 4 types of people. So how do you do that? So that's good language, Steve, all nice and sort of eloquent language as usual. But how do you do it? Well, there's 4 types of people in the world. And in DeSade land, we call soul shifters pleasers. They give to give. Next one, Pete. There's placers. They give to get. We call these enablers, and they understand that they've got to get high quality connections, high quality content, high quality experiences. They've got to give out exactly the same. So places, they give to get. Predators, they get to give, and we call these takers in Sede land. They've decided that to get your email address or to get your number or to get something from you, what's the least amount I need to give to get the most I can from you? And they're called predators. And then finally, the fourth type of person in the world, sadly, is a parasite. They just get. And what they're in Sede land, we call them silent hurters. So, pleasers and places replace likes, comments, and shares with love, value, and purpose. I know Rachel will love the first one, as we all do. Predators and parasites advance likes, comments, and shares for gain, vanity, and indulgence.
Wow, those are just big.
So, my advice to everyone is give for the gain of others, not give for the gain of yourself. Next one, Pete. I'm trying not to. So the truest form of reciprocity is selflessness. This is a very different definition. I'm not changing the definition of reciprocity. I'm trying to embed it into the soul of what your intention is based on the esteem, respect you have for yourself. Because if you have a place of esteemed respect and you're giving from that place, what kind of world are we going to live in, Peter?
Yeah, this is fantastic. And, you know, like I said, I was really excited when we started talking about the idea of bringing reciprocity and the word reciprocity. And I know it's very vague and very general. And I was coming from it from all kinds of different reasons, you know, personal reasons, business reasons, all these kinds of things. And it makes you wonder relationships you have with people from business perspective, people that you have relationships with as personal, and this idea of give and take, this idea of what am I getting from some, and again, I'm trying to find a language here, Stephen, so I hope you're going to correct me along the whole way, is that, you know, this idea of when you say, well, give and get, and right away my brain goes, yeah, but you're supposed to kind of just give without any expectation, Peter. I'm like, okay, I get that. But, you know, in real life, and I can name nature doesn't work like that. You know, no. There's a give and take in nature. There's pros and cons and positive and negative and north and south. And it's all has that kind of yin and yang effect. And, you know, you certainly can't do it at a bank. You can't go and just take. No. I mean, you got to give sooner or later. I mean, so that's what I mean about this. Where does you find the balance in your life with it? That's what I'm fascinated.
Well, where do you find the balance? Great point, Pete. And when you speak from your soul, dude, there's no need to find the words. If people always say, oh, Steve, you speak so eloquently, because I speak from my soul. Yeah, there's a bit of polish in terms of a bit of energy and work I do to polish up my vocabulary. But if for those of you who think that I spend all day as a bookworm looking at books and all those stuff, I don't. What I do is I spend all day asking myself, what is the next soulful thing that I can do to enhance the soul of another? Period. So go back to your point. Where do you find that balance? What does Christmas morning look like and feel like to you when you're giving a gift? Is it that you're giving a gift expecting it back? No. What does it look like, ladies, when you're actually at a christening for your best girlfriend and she's just brought in the new life into her world? Do you give expecting back? Or are you giving a sense of esteemed respect for the beautiful creation that they've done? Are you giving a Christmas gift? Are you giving to the people in Beirut or wherever around the world that have had some tragedy right now? If your next door neighbour has got some type of illness, God forbid they've got COVID, what's your feeling towards them? Because you need to give and create reciprocity from that substance of your soul, not actually working out, well, what do I need to do to give you the 3 things to be hot on dating sites if you give me your email address? Stop being a predator and a parasite. And everyone that's actually on the show today and everyone that's watching are in the business of actually being pleasers and placers. And yes, there's commercialism around it. Of course there is. And guess why? The more that you can gain in the advancement of another's soul in terms of commercial, the more you can actually help. My biggest weakness in my business is the inability to ask people to monetize what I do. And I'm proud of it because it's a prize, but it's also my prize. So don't think that if you're a pleaser, you're someone who's walking around giving away your soul at the expense of your own. Respect your esteem whilst you're respecting the soulful esteem of someone else.
Oh, great way to place that. The purpose of this show is to bring people on and have some amazing conversations with you. I'm just gonna dabble in between as we go. But I'm telling, when we're done this one, we're jumping on after, and we're going to do a little bit of extra for me because I got way too much to say about it. But that was so well played.
Don't hold back, buddy.
I'm looking forward to. I won't hold back. All right, so let's get to our first guest here. Okay, so Rebecca, if you can give me a little wave. We have Rebecca, and I know that it seemed like you jumped off for a minute and came back on. So I'm going to go to you first because I'm thinking if you're having trouble with your internet, I want to grab you while you're still there. That's what I'm going to do. So let me see if I can get
mobile.
Oh, there she is.
Hi.
How are ya?
Very well, thank you.
Okay,
Hi,
great.
Steve. How you doing?
Hey, gorgeous. How are you? Very well, thank you. It's the first time I've talked to you in person. It's lovely.
I know.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
We do appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you so much. So jump ahead with Stephen. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so mine is that there's a lot of talk about ego and things like that at the moment, and the ego gets a lot of flack because it's seen as the driver of selfishness and arrogance. But then you've got the other side of it where people are talking about the ego being the protector of our core self to protect us from the injuries of the world and so forth. So my question is, how do you maintain the integrity of your ego, your core protector, without being a slave to it?
Okay. Ego. My mentor, Bob, will be proud of me for doing this. Ego has two functions and two functions only. It's to protect you and keep you safe and to give you always a sense of feeling right. So if you think of the most egotistical, so I'm going to go what would appear to be the negative and then I'll come on to the positive of it. So if you think of the most egotistical person you know, they never put themselves in a position of danger and they never put themselves in a position of being wrong, ever. And that's cool because if it wasn't for the ego, we'd probably walk across the street because we just wouldn't bother us. And there's a whole pile of other stuff that goes on in the brain. But your ego is really, really important to protect you because as a human species, there's a lot of people right now locking down around the world because we're trying to protect ourselves. I get that. So the ego, number one, is to protect you. The ego also is to make you feel right because if you feel right, you have a sense of confidence. The very first thing in terms of your question, what do you focus? What's your focus? What are you trying to achieve in your life and all those types of things? And just for everyone listening, Rebecca works in a daycare centre, is that right? Yes, so if there's little ones in the background, we will hang in there with them, but we'll be fine. So your ego has two jobs. It's to make you feel right all the time and keep you protected at a very high level. How do you actually avoid that? If your focus is on the gain of yourself over everyone else, all of a sudden you're going to take the natural human instinct of making sure you're always right and protected, and you're then going to, if your focus is on yourself, then your egotism then becomes at the expense of someone else. So straight away, you're going to potentially hurt. Well, in fact, why don't we do it this way? If your focus is totally and completely on yourself, you're probably going to be one of those predators and one of those parasites in the context of reciprocity. If your focus is on the esteemed respect of self and others, guess what? You're going to be one of those pleasers and you're going to be one of those places. So my simple answer to your question is, what is your focus that's built around your heart, Rachel will love this one, and your intuition, which is your soul. In fact, why don't I just put soul there instead? And I'll come back and do a summary on this, Beck, so I'm not losing you. So if your ego is to protect you and always make you feel right, and your focus is always on yourself, you're probably not going to have your heart and soul because your ego lives in your mind. What you're going to do is always be looking from a predatory, parasitic point of view because you're always focused on yourself. I'm going to be right at others' expense and I'll protect myself before I protect anyone else. If your focus is on yourself and others with esteemed respect, then you're going to be pleasing and placing for the benefit of you and the benefit of others, and you can only look towards another from your heart and soul, which is your instinct and your intuition. So when your instinct, which is your heart, and your intuition, which is your soul, combine in the focus of your respect for yourself and others, your ego then actually makes you feel right and protected in the advancement of someone else. So what's the simple summary of all of this? Before you start focusing on whether you're right or protected, are you focused with heartfelt, soulful intention towards yourself and others? Because if you are, your ego will make sure that you're protected in that focus, and that you're always right in that focus, and you'll never harm anyone else. So Rebecca, what is your focus? Because your focus in terms of where you are right now is in those little children. It's totally consumed in the respect of those kids and the respect of the people who have dropped them off this morning and left them in your care.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and I also just want to see people achieve. I want to see people succeed and achieve. I don't think that success needs to be at the expense of other people. So, yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So if that whole position of being right and protected, which is the ego and the mind and the way that the human body is, and don't walk on the street, and if there's a saber-toothed tiger in cave people days, run, and all those types of things, I get all of that. But if your focus is always on others and it's always on self in terms of, you just said, advancement, making them, help them achieve, protecting them. Advance, achieve, protect. Aren't they the words of the heart? Advance, achieve, protect. Aren't they the words of the soul? On Christmas morning, with your heartfelt, soulful attention, are you not trying to advance, even if you're getting a pair of socks for Dad for the 55th time? I'm not a dad, but I assume that. You know what I mean? It always goes back to those types of things. If you operate out of your heart and your soul focused on others, your ego will follow suit to make you right and protected. If you avoid too much intuition and you avoid too much instinct and your mind is controlling your game, you are just going to play in this world. And we said one of those worlds is silent hurt.
Peter?
Excellent. Yeah.
That is amazing. Wow. Such a great question. And like I said, Stephen, bringing together like heart and soul. And I love the fact that you put focus inside, or basically in the middle of that whole
center stage.
Center stage. I love that. Rebecca, thank you so much for that question. Please stick around. I know you have some other things to do, some other people to take care of, but stick around if you can. Okay. We appreciate it. We super appreciate it. That again, the idea of focusing on what you're putting your attention to, and being, and are you serving in that way? Are you serving? I love the fact that you're able to put these things into a diagram so that I can, screen capture it later and actually kind of go through it and understand what you're doing. Let me just see what you're doing there now.
You might have to go full on this, buddy, really quickly.
Yeah.
The concept of focus, and I know Steve will be big on this because of the nature of what he does, and obviously Rachel, I should say, just loves this bit as well in terms of guests to come. What is the focus of your heart? Here's an assignment for everybody. What is the focus of your heart on a day-to-day basis? Not when you feel like it, not on Christmas morning when you actually want to feel heartfelt and lovely, on a day-to-day basis, daily. On a daily basis, everyone. Let's do this in red like we always do. A, my question to you, what is your focus in your heart on a day-to-day basis? B, what is the question in your heart and your soul on a day-to-day basis? Number C, what is the actual focus in your mind on a day-to-day basis? Got a funny throat today, everyone, excuse me. So let's do that. A, what is your daily focus in your heart? B, what is your daily focus in your soul? C, what is your daily focus in your mind? If you complete this exercise, you'll work out whether you're a pleaser, placer, predator, or a parasite. Because if it isn't the respect of yourself and the respect of others in each of these boxes, you need to readdress the way you conduct your existence on planet humanity. Pete.
Well, you're going to have to expand on that a little tiny bit for me. Are you saying that if my daily focus is not found within the heart, soul, and mind of what my continuity is, my congruency of who I am.
Yeah,
or how
yeah.
Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah. Because whatever you put in these boxes on a daily basis is going to be your example to humanity. Your example to humanity. Whatever you put these in. So, for example, my daily focus is on my heart is this is not me, but my daily focus is on my heart, I couldn't care less about you. My daily focus in my soul is I couldn't care about you. My daily focus is what is my bottom line quota and how can I get my sales pipeline full? What is the least amount I need to give you to get the most amount from me? If that's what my daily example is, all of a sudden you're going to probably struggling, because one of the things that's happened in the post-COVID world, the Black Lives Matter, all of that type of thing, I am absolutely convinced that humanity is being punched in the soul right now, and everyone's been asked the bigger question about what is your heartfelt, soulful presence in the world right now, because all of a sudden something that's invisible is literally killing us. So what are you going to do when we get on the other side of this, and we will? What are you going to do as your example of your daily focus of the heart, of your example of your daily focus of the soul? And if you want to think of Mother Teresa, Mandela, Gandhi, Steve Jobs, where some people might not have thought he was a particularly heart and soul person, his example of what he felt in his heart, his example of what he felt in his soul, most people thought, well, he was very kind of arrogant, egotistical, and very driven man. Yes, he was, but he was driven about the fact that he wanted to put a dent in the universe and change the behavior of humanity. Yeah. So to go to your question, Peter, what your daily focus on in your heart, your soul, and your mind becomes the example of your humanity. And humanity is defined as the quality of being human. What's the quality of you being human based on your daily focus of heart, soul, and mind? What is your daily focus of heart, soul, and mind? What is the daily focus of the heart, soul, and mind of the people that thought it was a good idea to leave that much fertilizer sitting in a dock in the middle of a CBD area? What is the daily focus of heart, soul, and mind? It was probably something to do with this profit driven by neglect. Probably. And now some poor bride's taking her bridal photos and she's getting blown off the street. That is just wrong.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's
cool.
Yeah, man. Of course it is. It's fantastic. Stephen, are you there, my friend? Can you give me a thumbs up? Can I see Stephen's thumb? There it is. We got Stephen here all the way. He's actually close to the border here. He's close to the border with me here. Yeah. He's Minneapolis. Let's bring on Steve here. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Excellent, my friends. Peter in Canada, Stephen, we have the common denominator of a love for hockey. You are outnumbered, my friend.
Completely.
I've been on a nice hockey ring in Switzerland once. I fell over.
It's an amazing.
It's a great game. We'll get him in. Hey, Steve, he'll come around. Hey, cricket and rugby and all that stuff. That's cool.
I was on an ice rink once and I couldn't stand up, so I went back to my Australian football days and I just tackled everybody.
You can do that in hockey too. You can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, I'll let you go. You go ahead with.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Excellent. Good to see you again, Steve-O. It's been a while.
It has. Too long, my friend. Too long. But we see each other each day through videos and stuff, which is great. I just love what you do, dude. What you pack into 15 seconds is extraordinary.
Well, I appreciate it. I just watched that and I thought to myself the same thing. So we have a mutual admiration for one another, and we have a passion for many of the same things. And you have a remarkable gift when it comes to teaching. I'm always enamored with how well you can tell a story and break things down and do it in such a way that's digestible for the average person. So I'm just grateful to be here because I want to see you succeed, because I know by you succeeding, this wonderful message gets into the world, which is desperately needed. And I love this topic, reciprocity. And so I want to go where you want to take us, because it's your show and I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
No, I do. What is there anything when you put in your details that asks you for a question? Is there anything specific? Ask me anything that's on your mind. Anything that you'd like to share, anything that you just like, not so much have a discussion about. Is there a question in your mind you wouldn't mind my take on?
Well, I think because you alluded to it, and I think it's relevant, many people ask me, and I'd love to have your perception of the current state of existence in the world as a whole as it pertains to this idea? Are we coming together, or is this uncertainty and this insidious sickness that's spread all over the globe driving us apart? And I have my own thoughts. I'd love to hear yours, because the optimistic in me wants to obviously turn this into a positive thing, but I'm not quite for sure many people feel that way, especially with the job losses and the fear and uncertainty that coincides with this outbreak, and of course the other things that are happening here in America right now as well.
Yeah. So your question is,
are we coming closer together, or are we on the precipice of really seeing massive dissension pulling us apart?
If you look through human history, whenever the human race has had to face up to its own collective mortality, which is our extinction, which is the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is ironically only this, or sadly, but ironically only this week, the anniversary of whatever number of years it is of dropping a bomb on Hiroshima. Whether you watch 9/11, sadly, whether you watch the tsunami, every time, I always say, and you've probably heard it on previous shows, human beings are very curious, very competitive, and we're compassionate, but we're triggered into compassion. So right now, the problem we have right now is, and let's use the Beirut thing as an example, every single human being has always wanted to be mobile. I have to go full screen on this, Steve, or when you, sorry, Pete, when you get to it. Every human being wants to be mobile. We want to chat, we want to see, and we want to share. This might be a long-winded answer, but it's just come into my head. Every single human being in all the villages that we've lived in, and all the herds, because human beings are herds animals. Let's do this in a systematic way. All human beings are herd animals. The original herd was called a cave. Then we went to villages, then we went to cities, and we've now gone to the most modern version of herd clustering, which is called virtual groups. So when everyone goes, oh, Facebook and LinkedIn and all that are going to groups, no. The first LinkedIn group was a cave. The first Instagram post was on a wall. The first YouTube video was a series of pictures on a wall, because human beings have always wanted to be mobile, chat, see, and share. The problem is, when one of these little guys came along, we now had the instantaneous ability to do all of these things. People are trying to do three things in life, and in the Sede land we call it ow, wow, and how to. They're trying to gain something, avoid pain, and learn how to one or the other. So what's happening right now is we can instantaneously see, chat, and share whilst we're mobile, a bride in Lebanon literally getting blown off the street. And we can see it times 100, or 100 times 100, in terms of how many people saw that. So straight away, in fact, that's wow, and that's our. So straight away, the human race now is being able to see on a instantaneous, ever-expanding level, mobile chat and see. So this business here is actually being 100x'd. This whole pain, and it's getting into the emotional psyche. Then we have this issue, which I've talked about often, I talked about in episode 1. If we don't have direction in the world, we don't have assurance in the world, and we don't have autonomy in the world, that's autonomy for now, we have conflict. Now, if there's an uncertainty about what an invisible pandemic is, because no one on the planet that's living right now has ever gone through this before. So there's a certain sense of what do we do? There's a certain sense of where's the assurance? Can I actually go to the supermarket and survive? Is the way America's handling it better than the way New Zealand's handling it? What autonomy have I got to make decisions? Because I'm being told I have to stay in my house. All of a sudden, I'm going to get mobile, share, chat, and see, and go tell the world how much pain I'm in. And then Black Lives Matter comes along, which I totally agree should never have happened, and it needs to actually keep doing what it's doing. Then all of a sudden, the bomb in Lebanon came along. And all of a sudden, this feeds into this, which feeds into the uncertain direction, the uncertain assurance, the uncertain autonomy. It's creating conflict and hostility, which is 10xing this. And then all of a sudden, Black Lives Matter, someone kneels on someone's neck, which is disgusting, and it amplifies this. Someone lets a bomb off and it amplifies this. All of a sudden, on the palm of my hand, instantaneously, I can see a bride getting blown off the street. So what happens now, if you think of what's happened in New Zealand overnight, their Prime Minister, rightly or wrongly, has given a clear direction that we're closing Auckland down for 3 days because we've had 4 cases. There's no direction, assurance, autonomy is actually through the roof. So the end result now is this bit in here, from a New Zealand perspective, is about rock solid leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So how does all of this come together in the context of just you? What is your personal leadership? The personal leadership that got us all up this morning. Guys shaved, cut, brushed our hair, if that's what we did. Ladies presenting themselves beautifully. The fact that we all get out of bed and we're not walking around in our bedclothes, whether that's nothing or something. What is your personal leadership for the direction and assurance and the autonomy that you want? And what is your actual self-respect and awareness towards the fact that I will manage the pain and start becoming a personal leader? How do I create gain in the world? And this is all wonderful rhetoric. But if you think of the most iconic leaders who shifted countries, Gandhi sat in a prison with a robe on, telling the people, if you don't stop killing yourself, I'll starve myself to death. So he threatened to do exactly what they were going to do. He was going to kill himself, and 600 million people stopped fighting. And when you consider the whole Hindu-Muslim thing, without getting too detailed on that, there's some pretty cultural, generational hate in that space. And yet a little man sitting in with a whispering voice, with a robe on, sitting in a prison, said, if you don't stop killing, I'll kill. And we stopped because it was direction, assurance, and he put the autonomy. So personal leadership is now more than ever. And people go, oh, leadership. Well, Steve, we've got to have leaders. No, you've got to lead. Mm-hmm. You've got to lead based on what I said to Rebecca. You've got to understand that the bride getting blown off the street hurts, but you've got to understand where it fits. You've got to actually have a sense of direction in your personal life. And your reciprocity, going back to what I said, Steve, is how do you actually have a respectful esteem for yourself first? Because the other big challenge we've got at the moment is everyone is now living in the culture of, and we've been bred into us, that we live in a world. Going through school, if I give mum the right answer by 2, 3, I'll get pudding. If I go to school and get more answers right than you, Steve, I'll win. If I get the better looking girlfriend or boyfriend, that means I'm better. If I get more esteem amongst my peer group, I'm better. We've outsourced our personal leadership and our personal identity. And now we're being confronted by the fact that Black Lives Matter and a bomb goes off in Beirut. And all of a sudden we have so little personal identity right now that we then sit around and go, well, I'll just go to conflict because I don't know the hell what's going on. So right now, men like you, women like Rachel and Rebecca, because if you think of what is Rebecca doing, she's come on the show today whilst she is in the care, she has been given the care of the most precious asset of the human race, children, the future of our humanity. And yet she's still come on the show asking the question she's asking. And then you come on the show asking about divided, and you're the most uniting voice I've heard amongst many, but you are a standout on the platforms that I see. So personal leadership is what people now need to start owning up to, rather than outsourcing their identity and outsourcing their opinion to some people who are not giving us any direction, assurance, and autonomy.
No, I agree, because I mean, they're absolutely brilliant, because I concur with that, because as I tell people, and you know, leadership, what is it? Well, it starts with yourself. When you have the ability to discipline yourself and adhere to the principles and axioms that you embrace and practice on a daily basis. And these things are in your heart, soul, mind, like you illustrated earlier, Steve-O. It's a second involuntary expression of yourself. And when it comes to crisis, or when it comes to uncertainty on the magnitude we're experiencing now, your response to that is so authentically generated as a product of where your values are. You don't deviate from the critical thinking that allows you to have some perspicacity when it comes to these very complicated issues, so we don't blindly follow, incidentally, something that seems to be logical but may have some insidious components that we're not comfortable with, whatever the case may be. Or to question, is this guidance we're receiving on this particular topic the best? When when you look around the country and you see how different countries have responded in different ways, and how different countries have had more success than others, and why is that? And we can debate the vicissitudes of that all day long, but the bottom line is it comes down to how you're leading yourself, and then have a discerning heart. But I just sense that a lot of people are very troubled right now. So part of my purpose obviously entails providing people with the cohesion that brings people together in the spirit. Remembering always that regardless of what's happening out there, and I know you've been through hell and back, so I'm not preaching to anybody that hasn't experienced adversity. I've had my fair share as well. And quite candidly, I think that provides somebody with this remarkable quality that you have. I can always tell, when somebody's been through major challenges, they have this ability to be stoic and strong, and it doesn't need to be bravado or arrogance. It's a confidence that is very sure of itself. But that's a great explanation, and
it was deep, and I know it was. But you know what it was? You've got to, your leadership example has got to be around self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-approval. We did this on a monologue last show or the show before, not sure which one. Self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-approval of yourself, which creates that esteem, respect, which is then your reciprocity respect. Because sadly, Steve, 98% of the community are addicted to pleasure, comfort, and entertainment. And when COVID came along and denied the ability for pleasure, comfort, and entertainment, 98% of people had no idea how to lead themselves. Because all of a sudden, I can't go to the pub, I can't go out to the concert, I can't go out and see my friends, I can't do pleasure, comfort, and entertainment. And the 2% of the people were up here going, okay, I got this, and ask the question that you're asking, what do I do with my leadership example? Because Steve does, you Steve, not me, Steve does have self-awareness. He does have self-acceptance. He does have self-approval, and he knows how hard it was to achieve all of the above. But in the 2% of life is where the game of leadership gets played, because this isn't going to change, because 98% of people are addicted to pleasure, comfort, and entertainment. And they call it ego, they call it opinion, and they define themselves by looking in the mirror and asking someone else, who do you see? So what we need right now is the 2% of people who are going to shine a shining light of example of awareness, acceptance, and approval, even when it's hard.
Mm-hmm. It is, and everything's hard. And, this device we have that you've illustrated as well, where we express ourselves and communicate and receive our information, is the ultimate conduit that plays into the simplicity, as you said, and the comfort of the convenient, and it's a source of pleasure too. That has become another intoxicating device, because every time we get a text, every time we get an email, every time we get a message, it's a dopamine rush, and the same thing as any other dangerous device we may embrace in the spirit of obviating any stress or anxiety that we're feeling. And because Peter's back, I'm assuming it's time for Rachel, so I appreciate it.
Oh, that's okay. But one of the things, it is. But one of the things, if Pete comes on,
he's a director.
Pete's the boss. But here's the thing, though, right? For everyone listening that thinks this is really easy for Steve and I to say, it's really easy. You might not know our stories. You probably know Steve more than mine, because he's more known than I am. But here's the thing, right? Every single day I go onto social media and I see people putting out stuff that gets a squillion more views than my stuff. But here's my message to everyone. I don't care about the volume of people that see my stuff, as long as one person sees it. As long as Judy sees it and it changes what she thinks. As long as Andrea believes that her 2-year journey that began 2 years ago is now the elevation platform of the most brutal price she had to pay, but of who she's become today. Of Larry and the level that he operates at, and all of the different people that are in Soul Shifters. Stop trying to find everyone to engage with, and find one soul at a time to shift.
Absolutely, and I'll elaborate on that if we have time.
Please. Yeah, go.
I agree, Steve. But when I started on LinkedIn 2 years ago, prior to that time, I was on TV and radio, intentionally avoided any unnecessary visibility, because my desire to protect the kids was my primary motivation. They're older now, self-sufficient, so that wasn't my concern. In my 50s, I made the decision to utilize social media as an avenue to express my learning experiences predicated on 3.5 decades of experience. I would never have gone on social media in my 20s and 30s and stumbled along talking about success and leadership and how I've built my business, because I would never have felt comfortable doing that, because I was so focused, incidentally, on building the business, I wouldn't have had time. But now we've kind of reversed how we go about things, and I get it, and I'm not faulting anybody for doing it this way. But so many people now are going on using social media as a platform to elevate their profile and hopefully turn that into a profitable enterprise, which I get, nothing wrong with that. But my approach was different, which was, you wouldn't want to have worked for me in my 20s. I was a pain in the ass. I was a raging entrepreneur, focused on business success, growing my company. I didn't learn these things about how to treat people really well, guide, nurture, mentor people, coach people, until I moved through the process of maturing, growing up, learning some valuable lessons that required that I take a long, hard look at myself. And then my focus totally became on people, using the best in people to bring out the best in themselves, which brings out the best in the organization. So to your point, a lot of people ask me, I'm afraid if I put something on social media, nobody is going to like it. My first article 2 years ago when I started on LinkedIn, 1 like. And I wrote for 4 months, maybe got 1 or 2 likes. I kept writing because I love writing, and I knew eventually the right person would see it. It would make a difference. And here it's 2 years later, and I've been blessed with some pretty decent traction. But I'm not growing as fast as some people may grow, because I'm not interested in followers that do nothing to me. Forex traders out of the woodwork just tapping on my account so that they can try to hit me up for a business proposition. I'm more interested, like you are, in connecting with people that genuinely want to practice what I teach, which is the anatomy of success, which is the 4 tenets of equanimity. That's why you and I are so in so many things. And that's how I've gone about it. And I'm not saying it's the right, wrong way, but for me, that's what I've done. And so I think what you're saying, and I totally agree, let's be less concerned about followings, likes, all vanity metrics that so many people are, preoccupied with, and just do what you got to do, knowing full well in due time, because of these wonderful platforms, you'll attract the right audience. I believe that.
Yeah, my question to everyone to finish, and before Pete pulls us on to where we need to go, what are you doing, asking and telling in the context of your social media, in the context of what's coming out of your mouth? Because what you're doing is your soul, it's your intuition. What you're asking, it's your heart, it's your instinct. And what you're telling people, if you're not careful, because if it doesn't have that and that, what are you doing and what are you asking then allows you to actually start telling. It's another definition of experience. If all you're doing at 20 is telling people who are 20, and it's not that people who are younger shouldn't speak, that's not what I'm saying, but what are you doing at 20? What are you asking at 20? And what are you telling at 20? And one of the simple ones for those people who are going to go, well, I'm not as old as you and Steve, and I'm not in my 50s. I don't even know I'd get to 50. Don't you die from 50? And all those things that Jamie Foxx jokingly says about, can't you die from 50 when you get that old? What are you doing in your soul? What are you asking in your heart? And what are you telling in your mind? Because if you're someone in your 20s and you're going, well, I don't have the experience you guys do. What is people's experience of the experience of you? What is it? Because whatever it is, start telling people about it. What is people's experience of this experience of you? What is it? And start to ask yourself that question, and then start telling people about it. The experience of you. And if the experience of you is not about having some hardships in your life, then stop telling people about it. Tell people about the experience people have of the experience of you. Very quickly, a young girl came to me. She was a physical trainer. She was about 21 after a keynote thing that I did. And she came to me and she goes, Steve, I don't have your experience. And I said, that's fine. She goes, but I'm a personal trainer, but they're coming to me and asking me about discipline in my life and what do I do with my boyfriend or girlfriend? And I think, experience of you. They're coming to you about the structure and discipline you display by the training you do. The experience of you in terms of what you're doing and what you're asking of yourself or being asked, tell about that and stop telling people what you last read. Pete?
Steve, I hope that answers your question. That's fantastic. I had to bring on Rachel, but stick around, Steve. Stick around for a couple seconds, and we will get back on at the end of this.
Buddy.
But thank you so much for that. That was amazing. Again, God, there's so much to unpack in there in that conversation, that exchange.
There is.
There's just yeah. I want to jump to Rachel because I know she's been patiently waiting in the back. Rachel, are you there? I hope you are there with us. How are you?
How are you? Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Hey, good. Rachel sent me some messages about bad storms and power outages. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Oh man, Stephen, I will always show up for you. It's not a worry. It's not a concern.
Okay, cool. So the house and family and everything's okay from whatever the storm was that went through. You're all okay?
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it. It was really, really bad. There's a lot of people with damage.
Okay.
And like Des Moines, close to the area, like silos were taken down. 100-mile-per-hour winds. It was really serious. Trees through cars, through homes. It was extremely. So that's why I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna. But,
well, you're here, and Peter and I and everyone appreciates it.
Thank you for having me. And I'm keeping everybody else in my thoughts because there's a lot of stuff that happened last 24 hours. So
yeah, of course. What are we talking about, Rachel?
I wanted to talk about love and empathy.
Okay.
Because I feel like since the last time you and I had our discussion, there seems to be way more needed now than ever. I don't think that there's a balance in the world right now at all.
No.
And I feel like you and I can't quit what we're doing, spreading love and kindness, and what Steve's doing and across this world, because it's like if you took the world and you put it on a kid's like seesaw, it's teetering around right now. I also think that this is a time of great importance on many, many levels, on different issues that are going on around the world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you think in the 2000s, we created the internet. And I'll do a quick summary for those who didn't hear the exchange we had previously and recently. If you think of in the 2000s, we created the internet. Then in the late 2000s to early 2010, we created the smartphone, the iPhone initially, and then it all went smart. The internet went mobile, and our ability to be able to get instantaneous answers and to give instantaneous telling, going back to the earlier point, all of a sudden went through the roof because the internet was created. And then by the end of 2000 into early 2010, the internet then became mobile. And at the same time, it became social thereabouts. And all of a sudden, people had the ability in the palm of their hand to instantaneously collect the right answers and give the right answers and have the egotistical belief that I'm better than you because I've got more than you, more likes, shares, all those types of things. Then when we got through the 2010s, all of a sudden, instead of having Al Gore as the voice of the environment, it's now a 14, 15-year-old girl in the Netherlands, Greta, if I get her name correctly. Well done, Greta. Asking what the older generation's going to do for when she becomes a woman and wants to become a mum. What are you going to do with the planet? So by the end of the 2010s, and the Me Too movement was in there as well, where one lady, because of circumstances that were disgusting, puts out a post that creates a social movement that's massive and rightfully so. And the Black Lives Movement thing is in the same way, rightfully so. So we had an internet that enabled us to share things. It went mobile, which made us to be able to instantaneously share things. It then went social, which enabled us to instantaneously share our opinion in the cultural belief and conditioning that we are as a human race, that if I give you get more right answers than you, I win. Because at school, we're taught that. Our education system is, if I beat you, I win. If I get more answers, I win. If I've got a better looking girlfriend, boyfriend, I win, like I said earlier. So when the 2010s ended and we look back on the 2010s and thought, what actually happened? What happened in the 2010s? Well, we've got really smart and we can land on asteroids and all those types of things. In the first month of the first year of 2020, if you'd have told someone on New Year's Day, by Easter, you'd be sitting at home and the world would be shut down by an invisible force, no one would have believed you. Right. So when I said to Steve earlier, whether it was Steve or whether I said earlier on the show, I believe right now the world is in a correction because we've got so smart, we can drill a hole on Mars, but I can't stand next to someone in a supermarket right now. We've got so smart that we can leave what looks like a nuclear explosion in the middle of a harbour. It just kills people because but that doesn't matter because we're currently sending a satellite to the sun to take photos. But we can't actually look after each other. So go to the board, Pete. Respect to me is generated from love and empathy. Reciprocity is either being a pleaser who gives out empathy and love, a placer who gives out empathy and love. And the other two P's, which I'm not even going to give the dignity of writing down, those are coming from the world of mobile, share, chat, see, me. See me, like me, approve me. I don't care about whether love and empathy of you because I'm too busy trying to work out me. And the celebrity, and even right now, I saw something, Chris Evans, the Captain America guy, where he's brought some platform out now, sort of social media platform, where it's trying to get rid of this whole thing about Republicans and Democrats in your country, about the desire for likes and shares across the world, and start going, we're going to release something where people are going to share opinions and there's no way of commenting, liking, or sharing it. Because if I give an opinion that what happened in Beirut was okay, and 50,000 people believe it, or if I say that putting your knee on the neck of someone is okay because I have a conditioning in my belief system that's just evil, that it's okay to do that to someone because that person might have been committing a crime. So they were committing a crime, but you don't have to take their life to capture them, so to speak. So what's happened down the bottom here is this whole thing of love and empathy and respect is now there's an opportunity for movements like Soul Shifters. There's an opportunity for movements like Black Lives Matters. There's an opportunity for movements like the Me Too movement. There is an opportunity for listen everyone, there is an opportunity for the movement. There's a personal leadership of you reaching back to the esteem of the respect that you had at conception. And it's all wonderful rhetoric. Well, so was Dr. King when he marched and said, don't fight back. So was Gandhi when he said, I'm going to kill myself if you don't let me. So was Steve Jobs when he said he's going to put a dent in the universe. So was Elon Musk when he said we're going to create an interplanetary species, and he's currently landing vertical rockets on barges out at sea. It's almost like Star Trek. What is it that you've decided to do as a respect to yourself with love and empathy for yourself and everyone else by pleasing and placing your best towards others? Or are you going to continue to use mobile, share, chat, see to extend and evaluate me, myself, and I? Because good luck if you think the world's going to tolerate that. I think we're in we are in a situation that's pretty bad right now. One of the states in my country, for the first time in my life, not that I've lived in Australia all the time in recent decades, one of the states in my country you cannot go in and out of. You're not allowed to leave. The city of New Zealand's been shut down. Now, whether that's the right or wrong thing to do in the context of other countries, I don't know. All I know is the liberty of people in your country, the word liberty is massive, which it is for humanity. All I know is people's ability and their liberty is being constrained. So why don't we take a moment to ask ourselves in this pause of humanity, what are we going to do in the next 10 years? And it begins with the personal leadership and the esteem you have for yourself. And that's what Soul Shifters, that's what Me Too, that's what Black Lives Matters is all about. Your respect has to come from your personal leadership. And it's hard. It's hard because everyone's down here trying to convince that I've got 100,000 views and you only got 5. That means I'm better than you. No, it doesn't. I got one person engaged with me. We look at traction ratio. I look at the number of views versus the number of comments. I want to know how much traction I get. And if it's less than 10%, we've done something wrong.
But that's not your core focus, because I think both you and I live in the we mentality and not the me mentality.
Yeah.
And that's why we get up every single day. It's not about what you and I can do for ourselves. It's about, like, what are we doing for the world? How can we help people? We are fully aware how much people are hurting right now. We're fully aware that they need love, that they need a friend. Just, how are you? How are you doing today?
Yes.
So we shifted our focus. I think you and I did it on I know I did it on a conscious level.
Yep.
When we saw what was happening in the world, we dug deep. We made a conscious choice to say, what could we do now during this pandemic to help people get through it?
Respect yourself. It has to start with you. Respect yourself. I spent the last 10 years living like a hermit, and people go, oh, Steve, how do you come up with this stuff so fast? Because for 10 years, my pleasure, comfort, and entertainment was living in other people's houses, sleeping on other people's floors, getting through bankruptcy, getting over suicide, so I could fail and fail and fail until I understood what I needed to do to help you. Most people are so focused on what they need to do to get you to justify them. Stop thinking your life is about you. Stop thinking your business is about you. And here's the check. Turn off your business's ability to engage with someone else. Turn off your life's ability to engage with someone else and see how much you enjoy it. Your life is not about you. Your business is not about you. Your humanity is the contribution to the collective called the human race. And is that all fancy rhetoric? Yes, it is. But you know what? It's true, because we all went into lockdown and people are, I've got a mental problem, because Mark Twain said it best, humankind's biggest problem is to sit quietly in a room alone. We're not supposed to do it. So the very first thing you need to do is to have empathy, which is love and respect for yourself. Once you have that for yourself, you can start being a walking example for it. Every single day I get people writing to me some of the most amazing things, some extraordinary comments. You saw some of them the other day, and every time I receive them, it makes me think. And here's a comment that we've been sharing amongst the Soul Shifter group. Stop thinking a compliment is about you. A compliment is an expression of what you created in another person. So when a mother rings and says, my 6-year-old daughter got disrespected, and Steve, what should I do? I'm not a parent, so how would I know? Yeah. But I told her some stuff that was soulful, and all of a sudden I get these pictures that go from this hideous love heart of a 6-year-old to these beautiful drawings of a love heart of a 6-year-old. And all I did is go, Steve, what did you do? Not glow in the wonderful things that lady said about the impact I had on her daughter by what I said to her. What did I do that created that experience that made her express that to me? What would happen in the world if we're all totally focused on creating an experience in others rather than going, oh, she said I was amazing. She said I was wonderful. She said, Judy wrote to me the other day, you're a blessing from God. Great. Thank you. I appreciate it. What did I do to make her believe she's now, in her words, more godly spiritually and more of a blessing to other people in humanity? The Soul Shifter movement is going to put a footprint on the soul of humanity on it, and I need everyone's help to do it, because if you want to know what life without empathy, love and respect feels like, lock yourself in a room for a week and see how you go. The people in Melbourne right now who are not allowed to go out, and in our country like yours, Rachel, that taking away people's ability to just go out and be who they want to be, and guess what? Go out and engage, be mobile, share, chat and see. It's been taken away from them, and it hurts. So this is an opportunity, everyone. It's hard, but it was pretty scary when the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. It was pretty scary in the weeks after 9/11. It's pretty scary when things get taken from us and we lose a sense of direction, we lose a sense of assurance, and we lose a sense of autonomy. We need to get it back, and it starts with your respect and your reciprocity to yourself and to others. Simple as that. And how do you do it? Have the respect of love and empathy to you first, and then go out and share that. Peter.
Love that. Stay with us, Rachel. I'm sorry. You got Rebecca here. I still have Steve here. So that was I love that, Stephen. I mean, I could way too much to unpack again today. There's always too much to unpack, buddy. Like, I mean, we could be, listen, like I told you, every time you say something, we could turn it into a workshop. And I'm thinking, I got to make it a show first, and then we'll turn it into a workshop. So thanks for everyone for sticking around. We so appreciate that. And thank you for being on the show today. And what we like to do is very quickly is just to kind of go around just with a very quick aha, because sometimes things get triggered when you're hearing other guests talk and from the subject matter of what we talked about today, reciprocity, but there's some really big subjects that were brought up today, empathy, of course, and things like that, division, I think Stephen was talking about, and so on. And Rebecca, can you give us a quick little aha that you might have got from today?
Well, I think I was just so interested in how all of our questions seem to tie together so perfectly. Because I was talking about the ego, and of course the ego, if it's in a healthy way, it's going to be empowering other people. It's going to be showing that respect for other people. It's going to be uniting people, not dividing them. It's going to be showing that empathy and compassion. So yeah, I think my aha was just.
Oh, that's just like a movie. I didn't do that. Like, so, oh, look what she goes.
Hang on, she might come back. She might come back.
She's going to come back. She's going to come back.
We
so
can feel it.
I can feel it. She's going to come back. So she's going to come back. So I'm sorry. I didn't do that, Steve. That was like a cliffhanger. She goes, my aha was, and that's the internet. Thank you, internet. Steven, or I should say Steven, Steve to distinguish from Minneapolis. Thank you for being here. A quick aha from you today.
No, I mean, just so many wonderful things we covered. Steve, you did a great job as always. And, you know,
Thanks,
I think Rachel's point resonated with me personally, because I feel it too, Rachel, that this feeling of love and togetherness is teetering on the precipice of moving in a very bad direction, which is why I posed the question, are we moving together or pulling further apart? Because as much as I want to believe in my heart and I'm dedicated to bringing people together, my sense is we're on the precipice of moving in a very bad direction. And it's this isolation, you know, the reality of what we're confronting can't be changed. How we react to it, like you said, Steve, there's a very small percentage of the population that really has the emotional intelligence necessary to, like, I've actually enjoyed this time, to be honest with you, because it's another challenge. You know, I love isolating myself on purpose. I've done it for years because I prepare myself mentally for these things, because I know something's coming. I've been through enough adversity to know the next punch to the solar plexus is coming. And so if I can prepare for that, then I'm in a much better place. So, but I think Rachel is right in the money. And it's a time when I think more people need to be really vocal about spreading this message. And it's not too complicated. It's like I tell people, no need to debate religion, because last time I checked, pretty much every religion advocates the same thing. It's love. Imagine that, you know?
Absolutely. No, that's a great, and that's right. It does come around full circle back to empathy is one of my favorite concepts as well. I mean, I had to come to terms with being an empath, Rachel. So and when I say come to terms with it, I think people who are empaths know what that means. So I got to jump back to Rebecca. You are a warrior of the internet, a warrior. You're not kicking me out of this show, but I'm sorry. We literally lost you at my aha was. So it was a cliffhanger. So back to you.
Well, I was actually very excited when I heard the lineup of the people, because I actually have a lot of respect for both Rachel and Stephen, and of course Stephen. So I was very excited, and yeah, my aha was just how everything linked together so seamlessly, and it just felt like we were all on the same page, and it was just all about having that empathy for our current stance as a human race, and where we're going and how we can be positively affecting that movement. I'm hearing a lot about vibrational frequencies and things like that at the moment, and I'm really feeling very hopeful for the future. So that was my aha.
That is fantastic. No, that's a great word to use all the time. We need more hope, right? You can live a long time without water, food, and air, but not 3 seconds without hope. Rachel, again, just a wonderful little tiny concept called empathy. But I mean, I'm not making. I just love it because I agree with you more and more. If we could really literally be around other people and understand where they're coming from, I think the conversations might be different. An aha moment for you from today.
We're not done. We have a lot more work to do to get our message out across the world. And hopefully we'll come back together in a year and see how far we've come. Every time it's obvious we have a lot more work to do.
Yeah, we have a lot to work to, and I do appreciate what you suggested that people like yourself, or anyone on this screen right now, and people that are out there trying to use technology, content, videos, whether you're making posts, these kinds of things, use it for good. I mean, if you can use it for good, I always that's one of my easy phrases. That hey, be kind out there. Just be kind out there. Not when you choose between right and wrong, or sorry, right and being kind. Just be kind. It's going to work for you. Stephen, some amazing things being said there. Thank you, everybody. Stick around, everybody. But thank you so much for being in. Stephen, I just wanted to go down to this beautiful screen because I know that you have some amazing things to pull us all together from what we saw here today.
Yeah, it seems to have, Peter's evolved me into having to do a little tie-up on all of these, which is really good. Rebecca, you said tie it together, and my take on that is uniting our self-respect and hope. That's my take on what you just said. Steve, you said direction, and I love the fact that you need to dedicate to others your lesson of challenge. And just because you're not Steve or my age, because we're about the same age, it's what I said. If you're a 20-year-old, what are some of the challenges you've had? Because you may not, you've probably had different levels of challenges for less time because of the timeline of your life. But what challenges have you had that you can dedicate to others? And start telling people about what you've been through and what you've achieved, rather than telling people what you last read. Rachel, you said message, the journey begins with you. And yes, we need to check in a year, but I would implore everyone to check in the mirror every morning. What did you do today? Who did you love today? What example of expression of your humanity did you give today? And check in 365 days time, doing that every single day. And Peter, you said kindness. Use the tools wisely. So tie together the direction of the message of kindness by uniting our respect and hope, dedicating yourself to others by the lessons of your challenges. The journey begins with you, so use your journey wisely.
Wow, that is fantastic. Fantastic, Stephen. I hope everyone took a screenshot of that. I sure did. Thank you to all our guests. Stephen, you stick around for a second. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you, Steve. We so appreciate you guys being here. And we'll do this again. You guys stick around. We so appreciate it. Oh, Stephen, that was amazing, I have to say the very least. And I just want to zoom in on this again, if I can. Gosh, I just tied it all together. Again, the idea of tying things together, the direction, the messaging, and then, again, just our use of kindness under the idea of being empathetic and understanding. And
tie together the direction of your message of kindness by uniting your respect and hope to yourself and others, dedicating yourself to others through the lessons of your challenges. The journey begins with you, and you are as a member of the planet, which is called the humanity, which is a collection of all of you, and use your opportunity wisely to share what you need to share, because 98% of people won't get this, but the 2% that need to get it and lead, because the 98 will follow.
Yeah, and you said a very important word, I think, leadership. I think that came up today as well. I think you talked about that.
It's critical.
We need that now. And we need leaders to be more reciprocal in their thinking as well. It can't be just good for one side or the other side or whatever they're choosing. It needs to be for all of us. So to your point, there's lots of room for reciprocity inside of leadership. That's for sure. Okay, my friend Stephen, listen, this has been another amazing show. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I want to thank all our guests. So thank you for showing up. We so appreciate that.
I've lost you.
Oh, you lost me.
you.
You can't hear me? Okay.
No,
it's okay.
So we're done.
Well, we can hear you, so don't say a word. He can't hear me. But everybody.
I don't know what's happening.
Hey, everybody, listen, it's been another fantastic show, and we'll see you all next time, everybody. So thanks. Be safe out there. Peace, empathy, love, and be kind out there, everyone.